Albert Chuang. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chinese.
Yeah.
How do you know Andy?
So
Andy Wang.
back in the days, I went to college with a bunch of other knuckleheads. Those guys were bouncers at. There's that, I can't remember what it's called. Katanas out here?
Katanas.
It was like some restaurant or
Okay.
hookah bar
Okay.
back like in the late 90s.
Oh, wow.
But one of the guys was friends with Andy. And then just through like backyard jiu-jitsu circles, that's how I met Andy.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why.
Nice.
But through Andy, I learned about you. Name-wise, like your name was around in the community.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember the PSL?
Of course, yeah.
So he was on the same card as you that night.
That was back in, my son was born in 2007, so he was pregnant with my son.
Mm.
So it was like, had to be like 2006, right? Ish.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, this is a great card. You know, it had
Randy Couture, Jacare,
Marcelo,
Garcia,
Jake Shields, you,
Kron Gracie.
Kron and Andy.
Kron and Andy, yeah.
And then, like, Glover was on it, I think.
I think so, yeah. They were the best in the game, right?
Yeah, it was wild. And I remember...
In like a pro setup, right? Like back before there was Meta Morris or any of these like pro cards, right?
Mm-hmm. And I remember going, oh, I get to watch Alberto live. I remember it was Camacho, I think.
Joe Camacho, yeah. That was supposed to go at what's his name? Hani Aira. He won the ADCC one year. I was supposed to go against him, and he dropped out, and then they got Joe Camacho to replace him. Rest in peace.
Yeah. What I was curious about is how did they get you? Because when Andy was telling me how they got him and Mac on it.
How did they get him?
Well, Rico already knew Andy like at Raw. And
That's right.
Mac also in that same circle.
Right.
And it was very casual. Hey,
yeah.
We have this event coming up. Do you want to do it?
It's a good question. How did that happen? Because I was in New Mexico still at that time. Because it was like the biggest card, right?
It was their first, I think.
Their first or second. I think maybe it was the second one. I think I was trying to get a Brazilian guy on the card. I think that's how it happened. And then next thing I knew, I was competing on the thing.
That's funny.
And then I don't think he ended up doing it. Something like that. And it ended up being like Randy Couture, it was, UFC versus Jacare with the goats of Jiu-Jitsu. And, Marcelo Garcia and all these like amazing, right? Top of the game guys.
Did you get a chance to watch them?
I did watch some of them, in the back, right? They have a video, they have TV playing. Yeah. I remember Andy's with Kron.
Yeah.
And Kron played the game because the rule set was basically, it wasn't submission only, but they favor submission attempts, right? They gave extra points, kind of like fight to win in a way.
Right. Yeah.
Which is cool because it was like the beginning of, jiu-jitsu should be about submission.
There was no prep for you. You just said, I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've done, you just go out there and you adjust, you figure it out, like maybe like a week or, something like that, a couple weeks.
That's pretty
because I was always competing and stuff. I was competing a lot. Yeah, all around.
Wow. When you were getting into professional competition, did your parents ever say, like, what are you doing?
I mean, in the early days, it didn't make sense, right? Because, I mean, it was like the early UFC days, right, with Royce Gracie. And, I mean, it didn't add up, right? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? I'm doing this jiu-jitsu thing. I come home with, like, all these red marks on my face. And, like, what are you doing, right? But then my mom saw the focus that it gave me and how it was making me a better person. And she's like, I like this. And actually what got her to finally buy in was watching the Rickson Gracie choke movie documentary.
You made her watch it?
I didn't make her watch it. I just like, watch this? She's like, sure. And then she was in.
Wow.
She believed. because they're all like educators, teachers, and so they wanted me to finish college and kind of go, make sure I get my education.
Yeah.
But instead of I was getting my education in a different way, I moved to Brazil and I, went all in with the jiu-jitsu game.
They saw it. Your approach was very methodical, pragmatic.
Yeah. She saw how I was so focused, right?
Yeah.
Like going on my own and going to Brazil, going to these tournaments, and she just, I think it's inspiring. Even the people that were around me at those times, because I was a kid, I was a teenager, and all these guys were like older than me in their mid-20s, and it was cool because later on I was able to promote them to black belt. But in those early days, them watching me, just the motivation that it motivated them, and I needed them for training too.
Yeah.
So it brought out the best in them, and just passion, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was just so blessed, right, to be able to find something you're so passionate. It just makes you excited, And we were talking a little bit earlier. My daughter like doing wrestling, and I get so excited, just to watch her wrestle and to do her thing,
That's special.
Yeah, all my kids, like they're in it,
They don't feel forced into it.
I've been very careful, never made it like forcing, but I if they commit, if they say they're going to do something, I make them do it. And I always got that commitment of 2 times a week, since they were little. And, of course, the kids, they try to get out of what coming in, coming in, showing up, right? But once they're here, they love it. They're laughing, they're smiling, they're having a blast, And you never, like, have you ever gone to a jiu-jitsu class? Unless you get hurt or something, right? But you ever have gone in to train and be like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have gone in and trained today. Yeah. So, I just made them like the routine, right? And, very proud that they're all like blue belts. And my son is he comes and trains at noon when he's not
injured
from his electric bike,
He's not doing wheelies or jumping off.
No, but it's dangerous, man. Like curbs and just different things. Not just curbs, but like other drivers, cars. Not paying attention because those things go fast, right? So anyway.
And you're in a busy intersection.
Yeah, it's LA, right? Yeah. It's LA. I was looking at the numbers and the metrics of how many motorcycle accidents there are in New Mexico compared to like California. And then, of course, LA is the most accidents.
Oh, yeah. It makes
motorcycle accidents. So, but I want them to be independent and I want them to be doing things, right? So it's like, it's tough though, right? It's tough being a parent, right? Because you worry about your kids, but you don't want to hold them back either, right? Handicap them.
And I don't want them, like my daughter, we just tried to get her into jiu-jitsu. Right now she's a no for 2 reasons. One, it was actually because of Kevin. But it was for the silliest reason. She says, he's looking at me too much. I was like, well, he's the coach. He has to look at you. And she goes, well.
Oh, it's going to be funny, man. They bring her in again just to let him do his thing.
And the second
he's like, okay, all right, I got you.
And the second one was, I can't wear a skirt underneath my gi. I was like, well, yeah, you can't wear a skirt underneath the gi. You just can't. And so we told her when she's 6, she's going to have kind of forced into it a little bit.
Yeah, bring her in. Just bring her in. She doesn't have to do it. And have her maybe even just you bring her in when you're training and have her just be around the surroundings and the space and meet some of the coaches. And, hey, this is Coach Kevin. This is Coach, Ben, whoever. And then Professor Tomas. And get comfortable with the people, right? And then there'll be some kid, hey, let's get on the mat. Or they start playing with other kids and they want to be a part.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, or a pizza party. They're pizza parties all the time, and they're a lot of fun, and they become friends with the kids, and then
That's good. That's okay.
Yeah,
I'll bring her in.
Yeah,
let's get her familiarized.
That's it. Yeah. It took my son a while to finally do it. But once they were like babies, So like 3, I don't know. 2, 3.
2.
But like they were like 3 before they like were doing it, Yeah. Okay. I'm proud to have a picture with all 3 of them, They were like babies in diapers still, I just grabbed them, took a picture and got on the mat,
With the gi?
With the gi, put them in the gi. Yeah, they're little babies. My Serenade, the one that wrestles, and Sona too. They were like babies.
That's awesome.
My son was, really baby too, almost,
Did they take a break at some point where they said,
And they never stopped, actually, Give myself a pat on the back. I didn't let them stop, because it's easy, right? It's easy to do that, but I don't know. I guess it's my I don't know if it's a gift, but I want them to. I told them, like, I want this to be a part of your life, and however it happens, or however in whatever way it happens, or helps you. I really believe in this for you guys to, I don't know, have these things that you gain from being on the mat in your life. And I remember them being kind of smaller, younger, and listening. I remember them listening, like, kind of, when kids, like, they feel it. And I was authentic, genuine. I was like, okay, I connected with them. So, but they will try to get out of training, and I just make sure they come, and they have amazing coaches and professors, and make it fun, and they love them, like, they make them laugh, and just it's part of who they are.
That's good.
Even my daughter's wrestling, but man, like, can't deny, like, the Ericas and the Kevin and the Marcos and just everybody over the years. George, Professor George, he was the guy who started Glendale. So yeah, all these guys have been tremendous.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shortly after the PSL, so me and a buddy,
Professional Submission League.
Yeah.
Submission League, yeah.
I don't know if you know him, Andre Anderson.
I remember seeing him on the forums. So in the forums, right?
Yeah.
Like, was it NHB forum?
Yeah.
Those were like the early days before they had. What do we have now?
It was remember there was Sherdog.
Sherdog, yeah, and then the jiu-jitsu one was like Fit NHB gear. No, what was it?
Jiu-Jitsu gear. No.
That was the sponsor.
Yeah. There was a no hold bar one. Right,
that was the one. That was the jiu-jitsu one, and it had a jiu-jitsu part in whatever form, and that was where everybody went, right? Professor Mark from West Adams, he was one who he's always involved with all these things. And he turned me on. He's like, get in here.
So it was such a thing where, I guess, I'm not saying he had an impact on it, but he was like in the forums enough.
Andre, yeah.
To where at some point he was saying, "Hey Albert, you're a techie guy. Let's build an online jiu-jitsu magazine and interview folks." So we went around. We probably interviewed 5 people. You were one of the 5.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
It was in Pasadena.
No way.
Yeah. And the funnier part was, at the end of, like, I'm trying to type as you're talking, and the only person else in the room was Orlando Sanchez. He comes in and says, "Hey, Alberto, can I show him my tattoos?" And you looked at me, and I'm looking at you going, okay, I'm assuming he's going to roll up a sleeve or something, right? He takes his shirt off, and he shows his back. I'm like, oh, wow, it's a big tiger tattoo. He looks at you again. You're not laughing. You were looking at me going, I know what he's going to do next.
Well, I was just making sure you weren't freaking out or anything. So I was like, that's okay,
And he pulls down his pants and goes, goes all the way down to, like, the bottom of his butt cheeks. And I'm going, oh, wow, he's really adamant about sharing his tattoo. And I'm looking at you thinking, so where do we go from here on this? You're like, all right, Orlando, leave. We're finishing talking here.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Typical day in the neighborhood.
I remember that, and I told Andre afterwards, I said, hey, I just finished talking to Alberto. Do you know a guy named Orlando Sanchez? He goes, I've heard the name. I go, yeah, he took his clothes off to show me his tattoo. He goes, everything? I go, might as well have. He goes, yeah, that's weird.
He was proud. He's proud of the work,
Yeah.
It's funny. Wow, what jiu-jitsu was it? What jiu-jitsu website, or what was it?
We couldn't get it off the ground.
Oh, okay.
After, like, the 405, we realized that with work and life, it just wasn't gonna
After
happen,
the
so we
4 or
just-
5? What's the 4 or 5?
Oh, people we interviewed.
Oh,
Yeah.
got you. It's like a lot of work, right?
We met with like Nino Shembri at the time.
Yeah. He was one of the goats of jiu-jitsu that a lot of people don't know about.
He-
He was like the Mike Tyson in the early days of jiu-jitsu. It wasn't a matter of if he was going to beat you, but how he was going to beat you and how fast, right?
I don't know. Well, I've only seen him do it, and he calls it the Mr. Shembri.
Mm-hmm.
So I borrowed it from him, where it's a guy's attacking side control, and it's not the buggy choke, but it looks like you're setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
But he grabs, he's using same side arm and leg, and he grabs his own thigh and just sits up, and he reverses the side control.
Yeah, I think I remember him.
And so that was his thing when he was showing us when we were interviewing. He goes, I call this the Mr. Shembri. And we were saying, oh, so no one else is done. He goes, no, it's got
Gogo Plata.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a lot of his Plata stuff. Yeah, he's a game changer, for sure.
Do your kids know how like how influential you are in the jiu-jitsu MMA early on years? Like that bridging for Americans.
I mean, you know, like I'm just grateful that they think I'm okay. I'm cool, because
Yeah.
considering they're teenagers.
Yeah.
If people tell them, or if they, when I go to places, people like my daughter's weigh-in, right? For her tournament, like last month, the guy weighing her in was like, "Oh, Crane, is your dad Alberto Crane?" And then he's like, "Oh man," then he like said some things, and so it's nice because then they, I get some what do you call it?
Street cred.
Street cred, yeah.
As your kids are like, they know my dad. I guess that's something.
Yeah. So no, but yeah, they're teenagers right now, so. And it's all good. I'm like I said, you're right. You asked me what's next. I was like, man, I'm just my kids. I want my students to do well, and not just on the map, but like in life, So I think my intention, my focus is there, and part of that is our legacy community and TACFIT integrating all that and seeing all these things grow that I really believe in.
TACFIT you got into because of your own situation.
I was introduced to TACFIT. My first jiu-jitsu coach, when I first started, he was a Navy SEAL, and he ended up going back into the Navy. He was always ahead of the game with a lot of different things. And after my UFC debut, he's like, listen, you need to get with this guy named Scott Sonnen.
Mm-hmm.
He's the creator of TACFIT. He's different. You got to get with him. Okay. And so he reached out to Scott Sonnen and asked him if he would work with me. And he said yes, because he was a grappler. And so, yeah, we worked together, and he helped me. And he did these assessments, and he did all these movements. And one of the big things that I took away was I got suplexed before a fight. And usually you have to do some, you have to take some pain pills, and, I just talk about surgery, and you never fully heal. And I was able to heal myself within a week. Within a week, I was able to heal myself with a movement. And it was that one thing that I was like, man, I have to learn this, that I can heal myself with movement. Why haven't other people shown me this?
Yeah.
So it's something that I never forgot. And then fast forward, maybe like, I don't know, I guess about 5 years. I got a second chance, or he was always took time to help me on social media and whenever I asked him. And I said, I want to go do a certification. And then he invited me to do a TACFIT certification up in Bellingham, Washington, where he's from. And I did it, and I started like feeling things. And the more I did it, the better I got, the better I felt, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis after my fight medical in 2012, so 5 years after that, when I first met him. And so it all kind of matched up, and I just never looked back. I've, he's given me all the tools, not just for MS, but it's the same formula for everybody. Just living your best life.
Yeah.
Makes you better at, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, any activity, and also just life. It gives you basic understanding, like the TACFIT principles is like CST, circular strength training. We have like a 3-ring integration with flow with the joint mobility movements, moving all your joints. Most people don't know how to move the joints. Some, basic like flow, like call it flow fit or moving yoga, being able to move in all the different directions or 6 degrees of freedom.
My wife goes to almost all the classes.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I was doing the mobility. I was doing the warm-ups last night with Ricky leading it.
Oh, love it. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
But I look really goofy doing it because it's so awkward. It feels awkward.
You lose movement, right? You lose movement capacities because you don't go into those ranges of motion, and you're like, oh, instead of not doing it, right? You should be trying to get better at those movements, right? And then cleaning like the map in your brain of where you are in space, right? And then it gets better and better and better. And that's like, because that's the active aging, right? When you lose mobility, when you lose your ranges of motion.
So doing the warm-ups last night, even though it wasn't like super complex or super long, there was one exercise about moving the arm like this, this. I rarely do it because I've injured both my shoulders. But the way he was teaching it and just doing it, I was like, and I was successfully doing it. I was thinking, okay, I just got to incorporate these things daily. Just keep the joints moving, just not to feel like locked up.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because we need to move. Animals get hurt. Like you move your things, right? Instead of you have pain on your shoulders are stiff. Like you need to work on that range of motion, staying out of pain, moving in those ranges of motion. Then it gets better. You move all the ground substance, synovial fluid, and all the you change all the liquids, right? And then it heals itself.
Fascinating. I didn't know about the liquid part.
Yeah, I mean we're all liquid, right? we're all energy too, even, right?
Yeah.
And then our nerves are like slush, and when there's trauma in the brain or those areas, your brain tightens it up, right? And so no liquids or nutrition gets in there, and it basically starves the areas, and then it doesn't get better. So you have to work on it and intentionally say, I'm going to do this, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger is, doing bicep curls, and he's focusing on his biceps getting bigger or whatever he's focusing on. Same thing with all the things in the body and the brain.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I knew about the mobility part, but I didn't know about hearing about the liquid.
I said like the 3 rings, right? It's like the into-flow, right? The joint mobility, and then the flow fit or the moving yoga, 6 degrees of freedom, and then we have like the strength component, right? We use club bells and kettlebells and steel maces and different things, and so using all those components, like learning like the 7 key components of structure and how to breathe, and just going deeper into stress, like when you go into stress, how to recover from stress, how to deal with stress, and it's very deep, Yeah. And it's interesting because the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, that's where they do all the boot camps for FBI, and the U.S. Marshals run it, right? It's the oldest federal law enforcement training center, right? And they went from all these injuries every class, every single class, to 0 injuries. Yet their push-up test, they improved, so they got stronger, and their running times improved. They got faster without running. We're just doing like lunges, because you breathe with the movement, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And I have because I've been around these last 10 years. I've been so dedicated to TACFIT and neuroscience and how the body works, and you hear all these stories and high level people like, man, I was what do you call it, road biking, right? And I never road bike, but because I have the breathing connecting to my movements, I just apply the same technique to this. And I have stories too of climbing mountains where I'm not, I was not in the best shape, but I had the technique of the breathing with the movement so ingrained in me that I was able to just climb the mountain,
Fascinating.
Yeah, just with technique,
How come we're not seeing more of it?
Oh, we're working on it, man. Yeah. We're working on it. It starts with us talking about it and sharing it, and you doing it, your wife doing it, and then helping other people, and just like jiu-jitsu, one person, one technique, one experience at a time. And then it makes a difference in your life, and then you want to share that with others. Like my wife, for example, she has something, and then oh, she's learned things, right? And then she's able to help her family and her friends. Like, oh, you have this neck pain, oh, like because you freak out, you don't know what to do. Oh, do these movements, and then they do it. Oh, yeah, I'm better. Oh, it doesn't hurt anymore.
That makes sense.
It's amazing.
Speaking of the things expanding, so I knew about you and Andy and all them back in the early days, right? And then everything felt relatively like casual in terms of like tournaments, organizations. At what point did you feel like things got more like mainstream, professional?
With jiu-jitsu or MMA or
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. Good question. It's like so early days was very tough, right? People didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. I was giving people VHS tapes of Gracie in action, how it worked in a real self-defense or fight situation. And I would have to say, like, the Ultimate Fighter, you know, kind of like it's all it's interconnected with UFC and MMA. But the Ultimate Fighter was on Spike TV, and after it blew up, you know, like more people knew about jiu-jitsu. And I think after that, I think the Ultimate Fighter, the first one was in 2005. And sure enough, they moved the worlds or the mundials, the jiu-jitsu mundials in 2007 to the U.S., to Long Beach, right, where they have them now, still to now, the pyramid, right? And so they started to have the worlds there. And, you know, once it's in the U.S., like, you know, it's you know, and then, of course, with social media has helped, you know.
Yeah.
It's all around that same time that it started to happen, right? 2007, 8, 9, you know, people, you know, social media just made it grow. And, of course, everything getting better and better with our phones and just the media. And
that actually tracks a lot, because I was living in Northridge when I was trying to find a jiu-jitsu place, but there wasn't any. But at the same time, I didn't have like the same tools as we do now, like the phones and Google, whatever.
Right.
But I didn't know you had a school in Encino.
Yeah, that was the first legacy.
Yeah. It was after the fact. Someone says, "Have you seen Alberto School?" I go, "Where is it?" He goes, I think it's in Encino. By the time I drove to it and found the intersection, it was already gone.
Yeah, I ended up, because I had a student who lived in Calabasas, and we agreed to kind of do it halfway. But that it's funny because I had an open mat, and we went on those forums to invite people. It was the NHB forum, I think. Oh. We just posted about it, and people just came, because that's how people communicated.
Was it pretty successful? Like,
I mean, yeah, it was a smaller spot, and then we expanded, and then I joined Gracie Baja, and then the Master Carlos Gracie asked me to be a part of the franchise thing, and of course I wasn't going to say no if he asked me.
Right.
And we did that, and yeah, it was good. I live here, you know. I live in Glendale and here, you know. So I knew once I opened up Burbank, it was going to be my home, you know. Pasadena was actually closer a little bit, you know, when I did Pasadena. So I spent a lot of time there. But I did a lot of my working out there. I did my Muay Thai training there with Walter, with the Sidir Tong. So I know Andy and a lot of our Muay Thai coaches over the years. And then I worked out actually at the Gold's Gym that was right behind the Legacy Pasadena. Now it's called like Speakeasy.
That's funny.
Yeah. But once I found Burbank, I was like, this is going to be my home gym. My kids are going to grow up here. And sure enough, it happened, you know. And here we are, you know, upstairs.
Yeah.
On top of the whole block of Legacy, and, you know, our recovery centers, TACFIT, Açai General Cafe. And
you're pretty much taking over like 3/4 of this block, right? I think, maybe.
Yeah. So pretty much, right? Pretty much. So, yeah. Doing something where, you know, like I believe in.
When you were saying the Gold's Gym, that reminded me. So again, back in the days, Andy was holding, and with Mac, and gosh, I can't remember the other guy's name. He has a MMA school now, I feel like in Culver, maybe, but he's been around for a while. Lightweight guy, small guy. If I said his name, you'd remember.
Oh my God.
He had a buddy named Ian.
Yeah. It's what's his name? Brazilian guy, right? No,
American dude.
Oh, Culver City.
It's either Culver or near Culver. I can't remember his name. But super lightweight guy, small dude. Did MMA, probably like the early circuits. But after work, I forget who it was, but someone was an instructor at the LA Fitness in Santa Monica. And after hours, he would open up the back and we would go in and train some more.
Oh, wow. Cool. Cool. Lightweight, huh?
Yeah.
Is he still there?
I think so, yeah.
Culver City Jiu-Jitsu? Is it Jiu-Jitsu? Or
it's
MMA? More
MMA.
MMA
Yeah.
in Culver City?
I can't remember his
Kevin
name.
will look it up for us. It's always fun seeing. Oh yeah. We get stuck on the names or the people.
Mm-hmm. But it was fun. It was very not reckless, but it was.
Oh, that was the time, right? It was like Fight Club.
Yeah.
Fight Club days. So.
The only thing I could find in Northridge that had closest to grappling at the time was a Taekwondo school in Chatsworth or Woodland Hills.
Mm.
The guy was a purple belt under Machado, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Times have changed, right? Yeah, I mean, Erica opened up Legacy West Valley in Northridge.
Right.
Yeah, this last year.
It's crazy. Now you can see jiu-jitsu schools in a lot of spots.
Yeah.
When I'm just reminded when I was at that place in Chatsworth or wherever it was, there was I guess, semi-known MMA guy. I forget his name right now. But I told Andre Anderson, I was like, hey, I'm training with some guy who I think was early part of UFC maybe, but now he's in these smaller shows. And I said his name. He goes, don't train with him. I go, what's wrong with training him? He goes, he's also a porn star too. And I go, okay. He goes, yeah, you don't know what he's got. Don't train with him anymore.
Where was this, in the Valley?
Yeah.
MMA.
So I remember on like the next occasion where he was trying to get a group of guys to train, I go, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm not going to join.
Who was the guy?
I can't remember his name, but he was an MMA guy who, in the community, he was known.
It wasn't that war machine, right?
No, I don't think he had a nickname.
He was on the Ultimate Fighter.
Aaron Brink.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it was awkward when I said, I'm sorry, can't train right now.
So tell me about you. How did you start jiu-jitsu? You were saying you...
Knuckleheads in college. Guys that were like 230 pounds. And they thought it'd be fun to rough me up. And they did.
Mm-hmm.
This was probably 98, 99.
Where'd you go to college?
Northridge, Cal State Northridge. So another moment of like, hey, it's really late at night. We found an open door to this gymnastics area of the college. No one's in there. Just keep the noise low. And only one guy had something like semi-formal training. He was a Greco-Roman guy. So
yeah, you've been around for a while, huh? 90s.
Just getting beat up though.
Yeah, I mean that was the Fight Club days, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of instruction, and now it's all professional and kids and adults. But those are like only the strong survived, and you're still here.
I know,
on the mat
with injuries, but yeah, sure.
Hopefully, you do some of that, get you doing some of that tack fit, more of the tack fit, and you'll be back.
Definitely on the shoulders. Yeah, after seeing what Ricky showed me, I need that on my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was that, and then just through meeting other folks, Andre. Then I trained over at Hey Diogo's for a bit. Then, because of work, I had to jump, and work schedules didn't allow me to make like class schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Was over at Raw for a little bit.
Okay.
And then went to Vladimir Matyushenko's school for a while.
Is it Dynamics? No.
It was before that. He just called it VMAT.
VMAT, yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's really cool. You were a part of the OG, real like martial arts training in LA.
Frank Trigg, I remember.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. I didn't know that.
I joined one of his wrestling classes, and I was trying to do. He's showing the single leg takedown. I was so bad at it. He just goes, "Just stop." You know what? Just never do it. Just stick to the double leg.
That's funny.
I was like, it can't be that bad. And he's like, it's bad.
Just don't do that.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
So then after that, just
he's a ref now for UFC for MMA in California. Frank
really?
Trigg, yeah.
I remember seeing Vladimir and Frank Trigg maybe 6-7 years ago, and then I was thinking about, wow, you guys look older, but I always wondered, was it the MMA that made you look older? Yeah,
It's funny. I say, like, if you do jiu-jitsu, you look younger, but MMA makes you look older.
yeah,
The punches and the stress
yeah.
of getting punched and kicked in the face.
It has to be. So I got a chance to hang out with Vladimir for like 30 minutes after that fight. So he was supposed to fight Tito Ortiz, but Tito went out, and he got John Jones.
Wow. It's a big change, huh?
And John Jones didn't have a name.
Right.
He was a nobody.
Was his debut?
Yeah.
UFC debut.
UFC debut, yeah, like as a nobody. He was a replacement.
It's the MMA game.
And John Jones was so dominant. So afterwards, we're seeing Vladimir. I'm not saying anything. I'm just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for someone to beat you, like, that's saying something. Because Vladimir would just grab my wrist sometimes and just throw me around like a rag.
Yeah. That was his debut, John Jones?
I think so, yeah. Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, that was the era, right? Man, John Jones is so dominant. So dominant. Like, there's nobody even close to John Jones, what he's done.
and I forget how old he is now. But
He was young. He was really young when he made his UFC debut. I think he was like, I'm going to fight. And then he fought like a month later, and then 6 months later he was in the UFC. He had like 6 fights in 6 months, something like that, something crazy like that.
yeah. You know what? Maybe it wasn't his.
But it was
debut.
one
It
of
was
his
a replacement.
early
Yeah,
ones.
early, yeah.
Early ones.
Because I remember when they made that replacement.
And Matsushenko was a name, right?
Yeah.
The janitor.
This was
He'll clean you up.
August 2010. That's when he met. Yeah. Jones versus Matsushenko.
Yeah.
He passed Vladimir's guard so quickly, and then held like a top crucifix position and was just laying elbows, and the ref had to stop it.
Yeah. John Jones, man.
Yeah. It was insane. All of us were watching it thinking, who is this guy? Yeah.
Yeah. Not surprising, right? Not surprising that he's still here today
Yeah.
after all these years.
Good technique. The good mindset.
Yeah. What an athlete, right? Two brothers, like in the NFL.
Right.
Athlete family.
So was it Hickson who was someone was asking Hickson, or someone was referencing him, saying like if he's teaching Kron all of his techniques, can Kron match the same skill level legacy as Hickson? And the response was something like, I could show everything, but the mindset, like how the things are put together, is not the same. So it's always made me wonder, like things like John Jones and the brothers, like they learned all the technique like somebody else in their class learned it, but the mind of connecting all of them.
Yeah, so many factors, right? Of your genetics, your experiences. Yeah, so many things.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
that was a tangent. That was
No,
everything
no.
I was
I mean,
thinking of.
Cron and Hickson, right? Hickson was an era, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Cron's in a different era. Like back in the day, nobody knew jiu-jitsu. So now everybody knows jiu-jitsu thanks to the Gracie family
Mm-hmm.
and their students, right? So it's a different era. Now everybody knows jiu-jitsu. So you have to, it's not the same, right? And you have to evolve. You have to change. You have to evolve. You have to evolve. You have to get better. And it's also a different sport in a way than when there's no time limit,
Right.
no when there's gloves and no gloves, right? Valetudo, it's different. It's so much easier to do jiu-jitsu if there's no gloves.
What do you think of the CGI like Craig
I
Jones
love
mat
it, man. I love
and
it.
the
Like
angled wall?
it's amazing. It's epic. It's they crushed it, you know, with the matches that they had, the promos, the laughs, the craziness, you know.
Yeah.
It's like WWE, you know, like it's amazing, you know. At first I was because I was protective of ADCC and Mo because I know they had invested so much money into the ADCC, but then man, it's so good for the sport. CGI was so good for the sport.
The competition's raising the level.
Just
of
the
everything.
hype and
Yeah.
you know, just it was amazing. It was so good for the sport. So creative. They were so creative, and they're still going, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited for the next round and what's gonna happen. And
Did
the
you ever-
ADCC is not going anywhere. It's gonna be there. You know,
Oh,
yeah. It's good.
They have a legacy that they have.
Yeah, and I hope they
Title,
do it on a different date this time. You know,
Yeah.
not on the same day. Yeah, but it's good. It was and I love that pit that what do they call it?
The pit. Yeah.
Like a pit, yeah, like grappling pit because you can't fall out and it's very spectator friendly, right?
Yeah. No ref like stopping, resetting. It just keeps going.
Yep.
Just keeps going.
Yeah, you can't fall out.
Yeah.
There's no cage, so it's not as cagey, right?
Right. Did you ever watch Quintet Sakuraba's thing?
Yes, I did.
I thought that was gonna be like the thing, but after seeing Craig Jones's, just having the pit
Yeah.
made such a difference
Yeah.
to like as a spectator.
As
to
a
watch.
spectator, yeah, it makes it a spectator event, yeah, because you don't want the matches to stop. You want nonstop action, so it's like almost like a MMA event, but it's still grappling, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Quintet, the Sakuraba. Yeah, it
That's
reminds
fun,
me.
it's fun.
Yeah, like we were talking about Japanese, the Sakuraba, yeah, and Hickson Gracie, the dolls. Those Japanese promotions were like when it was you remember Pride and all that, right?
yeah.
Those were like the golden years of just
Waited every 3 or 4 months for the
yeah,
event. Yeah.
it was epic, right? Epic. So yeah, I miss those Japanese things. You know, I'm grateful too. I had an opportunity to fight there one time. You know,
In Pride?
and no, in Japan.
Oh.
We went to watch Pride. It was actually one of my students fought also there, so we brought her out there, and then they had a Pride. It was the Quentin Jackson and
Yeah.
Arona fight where he picked him up and slammed him from the triangle and knocked him out. So we were there for that fight, that event at Saitama.
Yeah, Super Arena.
Yeah.
I went to the 2006 New Year's Eve event. That one had Mark Hunt versus Vanderlei Silva. Do you remember that one?
It was ridiculous. Just all the matchups and the fights. It was bigger than life, you know, the way they hyped them up, hyped up the fights.
The announcer?
The announcers, like Boss Rutan,
To me, he's still the best
yeah,
commentator.
with Steven Quadros, right? I like that combo.
Yeah,
Those
that was good.
they were the early ones, you know.
And they were so knowledgeable. That's what made it helpful because they weren't like color commentators that hyped everything up and used real big adjectives.
Yeah.
Look at that stupendous thing. Like, just talking about it. Yeah.
Having a good time.
So I don't know if you remember the Mark Hunt versus Vanderlei fight. He jumps up in the air and does like a sumo butt drop on Vanderlei.
I remember that. I remember a few events like that. A few
the,
situations.
the next day, was it the next day? I think it was the next day or a couple days later. Me and my friend were still in Tokyo, getting ready to leave, but we wanted to get something to eat. So we ate dinner at a TGI Fridays
In Japan.
in Japan. Mark Hunt and his crew were also eating at TGI Fridays. And we see him and we're saying, hey, how are you? And we ask him, like, that butt drop that you were doing, what was going through your head when you said, like, oh, I'm going to do this? He goes, I wasn't planning on doing it. I wanted to stomp him. So I jumped, lifted my leg, but then I realized both my legs are up in the air. And I'm just committing to this butt drop.
It was deadly.
Yeah. Because he was a big boy then.
3 bills, right? 300 pounds at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. All right, let's go back to you. You're Culver City. You trained jiu-jitsu. You went to college. You kept going.
Stuck with it. Got hooked on jiu-jitsu. Yeah. White to blue belt with Heijiogo. Purple with Andre because he was a black belt at the time. Then brown and black with Chris Lissandro at Street Sports.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's where we started to connect. Yeah.
And then you helped out my buddy Armin with the Açai Jiu-Jitsu.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? Like these things, like me doing the interview with you, like random. You just try to do, try to be kind and nice, right? Like do the right thing. People ask, and yeah, it's funny. You never know how that comes back to.
And like big circle.
Yeah, that Pasadena gym has a lot of history. We did a lot of things there.
It opened and closed, and then opened.
Well, it was Legacy Pasadena, and then I sold it to Orlando and his brother, because Orlando was already, doing like some things on the side, actually before I sold it, I made it a Gracie Baja because Master Carlos asked me to be a part of it, And I remember them taking me out to, he took us out to lunch, me and the guy. He had a Gracie Baja in Arcadia, which is right there, right? But it was too close, and so he had to take us both out to lunch and be like, listen, me and my brother Carlson, we shared the same mat, but had one phone. So he focused more on answering the phone, and I just focused on giving a good class. And so I taught Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He taught Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. At the beginning, his classes were full, or more full, and then later on, my classes got full. Just focus on doing a good job, and there's enough for everybody. And then what are you gonna say? So he accepted because he had a radius of like 5 miles or something for the school. And then I turned it into Gracie Baja, and then I sold it to Orlando and his brother. And then fast forward, the landlord of the gym came in here to Legacy in Burbank, and he remembered me, and he's like, hey, would you be interested in taking over the space? I'm like, what are you talking about? I wasn't here the day, but so I went to go talk to him. Yeah. It was gonna be just like a 10-minute talk or something, and I ended up talking for like 2 hours. He's this karate legend, right? That gym the Legacy Pasadena it's only ever been a martial arts gym. It was built for that.
Yeah.
And he like fought Chuck Norris. He beat him every time. Not that that's like his accomplishment, but he was like a world class, like the best in the world, karate fighters back in the real days,
Yeah.
And so so we ended up talking for like a couple hours, and I was like, I guess I have to go back, I told my wife, she's like, what are you talking about? And that's how because I was just in Burbank, and I was just going to be here and forever. And then Pasadena happened, and then, now other things are happening. And I just want to support my people, support my kids, support my people. And so whatever happens.
That's good.
You can't make everybody happy, but, try
and you're just rolling with it.
Yeah, try to do good things,
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. Back to you.
Yeah.
And then what happened? The purple, brown.
Purple, brown, then black over there, and then more work, life things happen.
What do you do?
Software engineering over with NBC.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Family life.
Family
the
life.
Daughter is 5 years old.
5.
Huh?
fun age, but so much energy.
Yeah.
Like as soon as 6:50, 7 o'clock hits, she's like 110% going.
Yeah. 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 And then how did you find Legacy?
I live in Burbank, and again, because of work, life, and just trying to make schedules work, I always knew you were here. So yeah, I just started, and time just worked, and then I was here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah. I'm glad that Kevin got us together, you know, because I don't get to talk right with everybody. Not like this anyway, you know.
Yeah, because just here you have a lot of students. Just
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We try to do good work with amazing coaches and staff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Team. We have fun.
Do you ever find owning, like working a jiu-jitsu gym sometimes feels like work than fun?
I've been through all of it, you know, and you know, I've you know, 7 days a week, like all day. I burn myself out. I've been through all of it, you know. I've been through every single thing, you know. When I had the Encino school, you know, I brought Hamlo Bahal out, you know, and you know, he ended up doing making a deal behind my back with the manager at the time, or the program director, whatever you want to call it. And he ended up taking all the students across the street, you know. Kind of everybody kept on the hush, yeah. So I've been through all of it, you know, up and down and sideways, and you know. But what made me really understand, or what I really love and what makes me excited, is when I opened up all these Gracie Barra schools. I opened up 6 Gracie Barra schools.
Wow.
You know, here, well, I changed to Pasadena, and then Encino, so that was 3, and then we ended up doing a Hollywood gym right on Sunset and Highland, like a block away from the Kodak Theater.
Yeah.
And then Woodland Hills and like I think Baldwin Park, you know, which ended up turning into something else eventually.
The Hollywood one, I'm imagining you get like strange people.
Man, it was a second story, thankfully. But yeah, it's Hollywood, you know.
Yeah.
And it's right in the middle of everything, right? So it was very interesting. Like Ricky and all these guys, they started there.
Oh, that's
Anthony,
cool.
for St. Anthony, all these guys, they started there. So it's cool. It's really cool, and I'm grateful I did it all, you know.
Yeah.
But it made me realize what matters to me. What matters to me are the relationships.
Yeah.
Seeing people grow, seeing people get good, seeing jiu-jitsu and martial arts transform their life and make them better people.
Yeah.
For themselves, for their families, for their friend, you know, for their families. So that's what makes me happy. And so as long as I stay focused on that, I love coming in every single day, seeing everybody, checking in. Hey, how you doing? Sometimes it's being a pain in the ass to some people, like where you been, whatever.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love, you know, checking in with the young guys, with the older guys, all ages, you know. I love my Savage. He's my like a father figure in a way, you know. I get to talk to him and how you doing, what's going on. I love it. I love it. I wish I had more time, and I love like these kinds of things because I get to know people in a deeper sense, right? And then it's efficiency of time because then we can share this conversation with other people, and everybody gets to hear about you, and we talked a lot about me, unfortunately, because you get to ask me questions. But you know, it's people get
so
to know
curious.
you. Yeah, so people get to know each other, right? And it's a connection, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So as long as I stay focused and true to what it made me understand, and what a blessing, right? To understand what makes me truly happy, and it's not, you know, schools and business and, you know, yeah, for sure, it has my wife.
Exists, and you have
we
to
have an
do
amazing
it,
team, and everybody does their job. But man, for me, it's just seeing people, you know, grow and expand and improve their lives, you know.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's why I like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's always building. Like, it doesn't necessarily say, like, I like jiu-jitsu because I get to choke somebody or whatever it is. It's just fun. Get a good workout, you build relationships with people.
Yeah.
And so last night I was actually a pretty good example of vulnerable relationships, because after me and I won't say his name because it just sounds embarrassing what happened. But after we were training, he had a booger. Right?
It happens, right?
It happens. It just happens. But you laugh about it, your friends, but you wouldn't normally have those kind of interactions outside of jiu-jitsu, and you're, I won't say more guarded, but you people would put more of a facade.
Yeah, it brings you down, right? Makes you humble.
Makes you humble, makes you real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
We're all human. We all do stupid stuff or have funny things happen to us, right?
Yeah.
We just laugh at each other.
Booger on the cheek.
Yeah. And not to take things so serious, right? No matter what happens to us. Yeah, like you tell me about your shoulders and, oh man, I need to do this more, and having this kind of environment, and you talk to me about your daughter, and you know, it just makes this makes you better at work, better at home, better in life, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes me so happy. How can I not like be excited about this every day, and that I have the opportunity to, you know, to do this work.
I imagine for most, because I'm not a woman, so I don't know, but I imagine for most guys that are students here, whether they know it or not, the training for them becomes a stress reliever, breaking a norm or day-to-day grind kind of thing, for them to get back into that grind, more focused, valve released, you know, calmer. And yeah, that's what makes jiu-jitsu so great. I mean, I know there's other hobbies, but something like yoga, I won't be able to change focus outside of work or something like that if I'm doing yoga. But in jiu-jitsu, I have to be present.
When somebody's trying to choke you, or you're trying to get them, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be completely present, because if you're not, you're game over.
Yeah, I can't think about what I'm going to make my daughter for dinner at the moment.
Brings you into the present moment, right? Where we want to be.
And that's good.
Yeah, love it. Love it, brother. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for being a part.
Yeah, same.
I appreciate you. I'm so glad we got to take a moment to sit down and
reminisce.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing up all these old school. I love these kinds of things. I nerd out, you know?
Yeah.
Like PSL, like Professional Submission League with Rico Chaparelli and all these big names. And yeah, what a, love it. Love all this history. And you were a part of since the 90s. That's crazy.
When you first met Rico, did you know him?
I knew, so I was a huge Dan Gable like fanatic. I used a lot of his mindset for help me like just get in the mind frame of training and, you know, goal setting and things like that. So I was kind of obsessed. So I knew about Rico Chaparelli through the Dan Gable books and the things that have been written, you know, on Dan Gable.
I didn't know who he was, and my cousin was going to Raw. So the first time I met him, I didn't know it was Rico. He just was walking around just saying hi. He was cleaning the gym. And I'm thinking, wow, this is like the most friendliest janitor I've ever met. And my cousin goes, no, that's the owner. I go, that guy? Oh, wow. Okay.
You know what's funny is that picture, that painting, it's a painting, is from a picture of from that night, you know? Yeah, there was a photographer. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
neat.
Yeah, full circle, right?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool.
Anything else? Anything else you missed? Do you want to, bring up?
Probably too many things.
Yeah. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for being a part. I appreciate you. Appreciate your obviously your kindness and big smile, and you're always trying to be helpful to others. And I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. It's fun here. It's great here. Yeah.
Thank you, brother.